Hey, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Kadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and salutations to the Akyam and Akwat worldwide. So this is a video on reincarnation and why understanding reincarnation is so important. Okay, so start with the scripture. Ecclesiastes, first chapter, verse 9. The thing that has been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. When it says no new thing under the sun, it speaks about different policies, different, for example, the United States being the ancient Rome back again, it can be applied to that, but it's also to the souls whom we are. Yes, our bodies are different from our past incarnations, but the soul is the same. Okay? And the soul has had many lives before this one. Okay? Verse 10. Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? It has been already of old time, which was before us. Okay? So none of us also are new. There is no remembrance of former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those that shall come after. Yeah, so there is no remembrance of former things, so you are not going to remember who you were in your past lives, and you are not going to remember what you did, etc. Okay, for example, John the Baptist was Elijah, but when it was asked of him, he said no, because he didn't remember. And this is why, because there is no remembrance of former things. Okay? The second chapter, just to prove reincarnation, is Revelation 1 and 7, concerning when Yahweh Shai comes back. Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him. And all kindred of the earth shall wail because of him, even so, Amen. So, they also shall see him who pierced him. So it's talking about these Roman soldiers over 2,000 years ago. So the only way for them to also see the return of Yahweh Shai with the so-called UFO chariots is if they are reincarnated in new bodies, probably in some military position in the United States, of the army of the United States. So it would be impossible for them to see the return of Yahweh Shai if they were not reincarnated. Okay? So this is just a few scriptures to show reincarnation's existence in the scriptures. There's many more, but this is just the easiest one. So why it is important is to understand the situation of us Israelites today, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and native Indians today are in the lowest state in all countries, in all societies, doing the shittest jobs, having the systemic racism, not even getting any jobs, living in the poorest neighborhoods. You look at the Native Americans who live in the reservations, and it's even worse than the so-called ghettos. The poorest conditions of living and the poorest reputations. Always being put to shame in the news and media and totally disrespected in every community. This is the state of us Israelites today, and our situation has been really difficult because of our punishment and mainly because of the slavery, because our lands, were the Northern Kingdom, were in the islands, Southern Kingdom in Africa, and also in Europe. So us being put to slavery by ESAU, EDOM, the so-called white man, really wounded us and made us to be in this low state. But it is because we went off as a nation that we are struggling today. And that's why we need deliverance from Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, to be put, for us to be put in the high estate, and for the other nations to serve us, okay, to lead the other nations, as it said in Genesis 25 and also in Genesis 27, that other nations has to serve Jacob, Israelites. So if you go to Deuteronomy 28, the first chapter, it says that, and it shall come, the first verse, so okay, it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to observe and to do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. So us Israelites, if we keep the commandments, laws, statutes of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, we are to be set on high above all nations of the earth. Verse 2, and all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. So what happened is that we didn't walk on the ways of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, and this is why the verse 15, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken, which means listen, unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So right now we have been, and to this day we are under these curses. You know, these curses include cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. You know, cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. So right now we are in this low state because all these curses, it's from verse 15 right to 68. Okay, and the first one is talking about the southern kingdom getting to United States, Babylon, with these slave ships, you know, to show that it's talking about us Israelites. Okay, and also the northern kingdom were put to slavery with these ships. Okay, and so if you go through all this, I'm not going to go through all these curses, but it literally describes our history and the situation of us today. You know, it talks about being a reproach and a byword. You know, all these offensive words that are, you know, proverb, byword, and all nations, from all nations. Okay, so this is why we are being named all these names. You know, niggas, and you know, wetbacks. There's so many for even the so-called Mexican, which is the Issacharites in the United States, and for all the Israelites among the world. All these bywords, all these words of insult. And it is because us, our ancestors, which are us, went off. So that's why we are struggling today. You know, and the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai uses ESAU, the white man, to punish us. Okay? So it says in Luke 17 and first verse, is Yahweh Shai speaking. Then said he unto the disciples, it is impossible but that offenses will come, but woe unto him through whom they come. So this can be used to say that it is impossible that we would not have been punished because we went off by the law, statutes and commandments, but it says woe unto him through whom the punishments come. So destruction unto him, destruction unto ESAU, Edom, because it was by their hand that we got put to a low estate. And it says in Psalms that deliver me from the hand of the wicked, which is thy sword, which is the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai's sword, the so-called white man. Okay, so sword is used as a punishment, and it was through them that we got to this estate that we are today. And it says woe unto him through whom they come. So they have to be punished for what they did to us, because we went off against the Lord. and then the heathen nation of ESAU Edom transgressed against us, which we are the chosen people of the Lord. It were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and he cast into the sea, that he should offend one of these little ones. And oh, how has ESAU Edom, the so-called white man, offended us Israelites? Okay, and there is people, I heard, for example, Farrakhan saying that, you know, so-called white man has to pay, you know, has to pay with cash, with money for the offenses and for the slavery and everything they put the Israelites go through. But it's not scriptural at all, and it's not balanced, it's not justice at all. It says in Exodus 21 and 24, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. So as they did to us, it shall be done to them, but even double. It shall be done to them even double, it says in book of Revelation. So the harm that they caused us Israelites, the so-called white man, and also the other nations were in on this. You know, it talks about our enemies in Psalms 83rd chapter. So for all that they did to us, it shall be returned unto them, but as double. Okay, because we are the people of the Lord, Yahweh. So no amount of money, even 100 billion or 100 trillion, would not be enough to recompense the harms that they did to us as a nation. Okay, that's not balanced at all. That's not eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. As it says in Proverbs 11 and 1, a false balance is abomination to Yahweh, but a just weight is his delight. Abomination means a thing that causes disgust. False balance is a situation where a nation puts another to go through all this hell. First slavery, and then to live in a pitiful way compared to them in their societies that were built by our Israelites slave work, and then they would get off the hook. It would be recompensed only by them paying with cash. That is a false balance. It has to be repaid with them getting to slavery. You know, starting with ESAU Edom, a hardcore slavery of 1,000 years, which they are going to build the kingdom of Israelites starting when Yahweh comes back. It talks about that in Isaiah 60th and 61st chapter. You know, the heathen building the walls of the new kingdom. Okay, and going back to the main subject of this video, which is reincarnation. So for all these Edomites, so-called white people, who say that, you know, it was our ancestors, you know, we have nothing to do with this. Yeah, our ancestors put you so-called Negroes, so-called Latinos to slavery and put you through all this hell, but it wasn't us, it was our ancestors. But it says here in Isaiah 14:21, prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land nor fill the face of the world with cities. So their descendants of their ancestors who did all this wickedness unto Israelites, it has to be repaid to their children of today. And the reason is because they are them in reincarnation, if you can receive it. Okay? So this is why I understand reincarnation is so important, because all these Edomites getting with the defense that, no, it wasn't us, it was our ancestors, we have nothing to do with it. But look at this scripture, Isaiah 14 and 21. And also it says in Exodus about visiting the generations of the third and fourth generation for the sins of their fathers, paraphrasing. But they cannot escape the sins of their ancestors, of their fathers. Okay, and that's why they're going to have the destruction talked about in prophesied in Ezekiel, the 35th chapter, also in a lot of instances in Jeremiah, where it talks about the destruction of the heathen. Okay, also in Revelation 7, when it says about gathering the elect before all hell is going to break loose for the heathen. And this is for reincarnation, and that's why understanding reincarnation is so important. So that's it for this video. Hope you were edified. Shalom.